And now, your local forecast.
Welcome back to the forecast. First time joining, my name is M4 Sonic, joined by Chief Street. We've got Luke. How are we, lads?
Really good.
Really good. Yeah. I just got in. So what have you guys been doing today?
We had a pretty long experiment that we just ran then, but it seems to have worked.
Okay. What kind of experiment?
Fingers crossed.
What are you talking about?
Luke, you explain it. You're the don about it.
I've been conducting some marketing, Facebook, Instagram ad marketing experiments over the last week.
Okay.
Been going well.
Yep.
So I've just been running Chief through them and we're going to test it out with one of his tracks.
So
cool.
Explain what platform we're using and what the goal is, and if you can maybe explain like some of the stats you managed to succeed with on your profile.
Yeah, well, if we're giving away the keys to the Pandora's,
you want to keep
the Pandora's box.
Never mind then. It's all locked up.
No, look, let's do a bit more testing and then we'll speak about our successes.
Lame. All right.
What we will say is there's a couple little tactics that I haven't used previously on campaigns that, I think will make a big difference. One of them, which I'm happy to chat about, is sending traffic to a playlist rather than just to a song. Obviously, if someone's new and hasn't been to your particular profile before, they click and listen to your song, but it's not in a playlist, Spotify just suggests what to play next, which could be one of your songs, but it could be someone else's song. Whereas if you're sending traffic direct to a playlist, I think particularly if they're a premium subscriber, it'll scroll through your songs on the playlist next. So you might pick up one or two extra streams as well. So you're getting a bit extra bang for your buck from your clicks.
It's pretty good. You'll get like a trickle-down effect, basically.
Yeah, right.
So rather than going from me to Flostradamus, it'll just play another song of mine.
Nice.
And then I reckon if the user hears 2 or 3 in a row and thinks, oh, geez, this is actually pretty good, they might become more attached to you as an artist rather than this random song I found,
For those watching, I've got a playlist. I'm going to do one of those YouTube pop-up things. Ding.
Ding.
Yeah.
Subscribe to M4 Sonic.
Yeah, well, we tried that a while ago, but I haven't promoted the playlist. But it was music that suited my sounds that inspired me. So, Deadmau5, KX5 or K5, however you can call it. Woo! Cascade, that kind of stuff. And then I just put all the songs that I'd made
in it as well. Yeah. So we did one that was just me, basically. So it's a playlist just of my music.
Yeah. Smart. Cool.
And what we're finding as well is as people scroll through the playlist, they're saving more than one song to a library, adding more than one song to their own playlist as well. So it's starting to stack up, I think. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll see how that unfolds over the coming weeks. We can maybe debrief in a few episodes' time.
I tell you what, though, they don't make it easy. Like using Facebook Ad Manager is a nightmare. They make it, and I was saying to Luke, I was like, why is it so hard? And he agrees. It's like, wouldn't Facebook encourage people to spend their money on ads? But instead, they just make it so convoluted. Everything's hidden behind a menu, behind another menu, and you have this account attached to this payment info, this business manager account attached to this page. It's like a maze in there.
Yeah, we record another podcast in this room for a marketing or digital agency called Digitail. The podcast called Digitalks.
Yeah.
And every time that has a guest on, they're talking about, did you see this update? And, they're professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So how are artists meant to figure this shit out?
There's no way. I remember doing it a couple of times early on and then being like, man, I just can't. Like, it's too difficult. It's its whole own thing. Like, that's what I mean. It's someone's complete job to handle that side of it.
Yep.
And trying to add a third party, such as me, to your account today was like, didn't get the invitation to start with, then deleted the invitation. Then he couldn't add me back in because I disappeared from his friends list.
I have a problem. I can't access Facebook on my desktop because it uses a 2-factor authentication that I don't have.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. So
what's it trying to send to?
Like an authenticator app or a text?
It was the Facebook authenticator app or something. So you would go into Facebook on your mobile and you'd get a code and you'd say, this is me. So the problem is every time I go to Facebook, it's like, you've already logged in on this device. I'm like, no, shit. And then, but it's good for productivity, which is something we're going to talk about today. I've got this problem where every time Ableton or any of the video software that we use, or just anything that takes more than 3 seconds to load, I go on my phone and I start scrolling and then I forget that the program's loaded and then I've just wasted like 5-10 minutes and it's really killing me. So I used to have an app years and years and years ago, and I can't remember it, but it was about, it would lock your phone and you couldn't use it for a certain amount of time, or at least you couldn't use apps for a certain amount of time. And for every hour or potentially every day that you were not distracted, they would plant a tree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking cool. So you were growing a tree from the amount of times that you were productivity. If I can find it, I'll link it in the episode description because it was pretty sick. By the way, I'm really tired. So sorry if I'm lagging. You guys would know when you rocked up, Rach and I had just finished on the power tools today at the studio. I'm going to put some video as part of this vodcast so people can see behind the scenes. But I think, congratulations, construction is finished.
Wow, we've done it.
Restoration begins.
We've made it. Yeah, right now get the brushes out.
Yeah. So for those that follow the recording studio where this is recorded, it's called Matrix Adelaide. We have a film studio. It was originally a photo studio, and what we've done is we've soundproofed it so it's like this room that we're recording the podcast in, but 8 times the size.
Easy, man.
10 times the size.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited for all our listeners and viewers right now because you're going to see the journey of where this room eventually ends up in our TV show, which is pretty ambitious, but fuck it, why not?
I wish they could see even before the room was this too. Before it was the studio with one desk and one chair and a couch and white walls and
no, and that's it. This room and this whole facility is just always getting an update. There's always something happening. You know, we've just got a new porch. The roof's been restored. We had in Adelaide.
How'd you go with the rain?
Amazing. No leaks.
Wow.
No leaks. Yeah.
Great. Good job, Alex.
Good job, Alex. Shout out to Warnie if you're listening. He wouldn't be listening, but I'll send him a link. Hey, mate, the poor bastard. He got up on the roof and there was so much. So penetrations is what they call it. Every time you've got an air conditioner. Yeah. Oh, few penetrations up there, mate. And the amount of work they've got to go to unfuck the roof basically from just years of tenants that don't care or years of trades that have just done patch jobs, whatever. And because this is it. This is the final chapter for this studio, for this facility. Got to lock it down. So yeah, they've done a lot of work. We've done so much shit here in the studio that I haven't captured the process of it because it's pretty boring, like electrical. But yeah.
It is, but people are still intrigued, even if it's the time lapse, like the one this morning of you guys.
I've done a time lapse. I'm going to play it on the video for those watching because it's pretty cool. So my wife's pregnant, 6 months pregnant. What a champ on the tools, on this massive industrial vacuum mop thing. It's really heavy though. I had to take over. But essentially it's like scoured the floor. It's like ripped up. Even the paint, the green screen reemerged.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah, so next week, you're jetting out. This Sunday. And then I will be working here. You'll be here. And I'll also be on the tools painting. I'm tempted just to pay someone to do it, but also just...
Don't forget your respirator mask this time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Nick wants to have a bit of fun while he paints.
Do you remember when we did... So there's this concrete sealed, the black polished concrete floors that we have here.
Yep.
Luke and I... We're just having the time of our life that night.
So were they not black before?
No.
Or you just recoded it?
It was like a chalky, patchy chalky. There was like cracks. There was bits flicked off.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. This place actually was fully carpeted at one point in time.
Right.
And the bloke before me just ripped it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And
but it was just basically bare ground under.
Thinking about putting carpet back in. Anyway, I digress. So Sunday, you're jetting out. We spoke briefly about it. Going to New York, leaving us behind.
Lucky boy.
Yep.
Are you pumped?
Yep.
Have you got, I was thinking about it today, when I travel, I like to think about little travel hacks. Have you got like a travel hack that you just may have thought of recently because you've just been traveling that you'd like to share?
Yeah, a couple. One is I only ever really take 7 to 10 kilos of carry-on luggage with me, so don't worry about losing my suitcase or needing to carry
Don't
around.
do check-in?
Don't do check-in.
Yeah.
Depending on the flight, sometimes you get 7, sometimes you get 10. Depending on the airline, sometimes I don't check. So you can risk it for the biscuit.
That'd save you some coin too.
Yeah. Yep. The other one is business lounges. So like you can pay. A lot of them you can pay like $50 to go in. So if you've got like a 5-hour layover and you don't want to wander around the airport for hours or sit on a hard plastic chair, you can just, and you've got the money, just pay $50 and go in the lounge and sit on a comfy couch.
I have a business
around.
idea and I don't care if anybody steals it because I can't really be asked implementing it. I've had it for years and it's to create a gym franchise that
Or
Is that-
in
airports.
airports. Wow.
now the reason being, before I lost all my status points and could fly business and had business lounge access, I would smash that. I'd love it. But
Yeah.
more so for the fact of first class have the showers and you get a shaver kit. And, it's so nice to fly home after having a shave and like first world.
Yeah, yeah,
problems,
yeah.
right? But I was thinking too, look at someone like Will Sparks, who's insanely fit and
Mhm.
traveling all the time. I think he would love to be able to fly to an airport and know that, okay, I've got a 10-hour layover. Because unfortunately, shit happens.
Get a lift in.
Sometimes you don't, or that's what we were going to call it, lift off.
Do you know as well?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
I don't care if anyone steals it because, again, it's going to cost me $100 million to do
Yeah,
this.
how do you imagine renting in an airport?
Well, what I was-
we'll just
yeah.
go get a little
I
slice of
think there'd be
Heathrow, thanks.
so much red tape, and I'm sure someone's had an idea but hasn't done it. But you land in Dubai and you've got 4 hours to kill. Go do a gym workout. Go have a sauna. Go have a shower.
Dude, that cures so much jet lag in that as well. I think a
Absolutely.
lot, like we've talked about it as well, how keeping yourself healthy throughout touring is like super important. And all the best people actually do that. They're not partying like you think they might be.
No.
So like having that as a little pit stop everywhere around the world, that I could imagine that being huge for those type
Massive.
of elites.
And,
though.
and it doesn't matter what class of airline you're flying. As you just have your gym membership. It'll be global citizen. Yeah. So
Yeah, you could probably charge a great membership fee for that too.
absolutely. Anyway, someone steal that idea. And did you reckon you had another one? Or was that it?
That's probably it.
That's probably it. All right, we'll save it for when you get back from New York and you can give us some more travel advice. Because it's going to be summer over there, right?
It'll be about 28 degrees Celsius.
Are you a window seat type of guy or an aisle
Have you seen
seat?
his legs, man? He's
I'm an exit row kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're trying to get that room.
It only cost me $200 extra on every flight, which is a pain in the butthole. But
Otherwise you can't fit.
otherwise, my knees are like fully jammed between the
Yeah.
seats in front of me. So like, as painful as it is to have to pay extra money to get an exit row, I've just got to do it. Especially like, we've got quite an international audience on this podcast, and the flight from Melbourne or Sydney to Dubai, if you're going to Europe, is 14 hours, and then followed by, usually a 2 or 3 hour layover, followed by another 7 or 8 hours, depending on where you're going. Even, Sydney to LA is 14 hours, I think, on the way there, 16 on the way back. And those types of flights to be jammed in where you can't even move your legs to get comfortable at all, and you've got the hard, a lot of the seats have that hard metal bracket where the armrest is and stuff. Like, I have to do it, unfortunately. Hannah's like, I'm fine, I can just sit here, and that's my partner.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the size of my legs here compared to yours.
Right. Let's talk about productivity.
Let's.
Yeah. I got a great feedback. Thank you to
Yeah.
everybody that's been following along and commenting and stuff like that. I finally did get back to the comments. We got one from Dylan. So Dylan said he's loving the new format, which is awesome. I'm glad because I think
it's resonated well with a lot of people as well.
it's so much easier to edit when I just let it run.
Yep.
One of his issues is that he, and he knows a few others too, is productivity and toxic productivity. And he would like our opinions on that. Let's unpack that because, first of all, what is toxic
Yeah.
productivity?
Tell me, because I'm a bit unsure. I'm sure when you explain it, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But
We mentioned it briefly off camera, Luke.
Well, yeah, I was under the impression it was when you do things to make yourself feel productive without actually achieving a lot at the end of it.
so does that go back to what you were saying about picking up your phone every 2 minutes when you're trying to do something? Or is that
No, that's
just
me being distracted and having a addictive personality and wanting that dopamine hit,
Okay.
which is a totally different episode. No, this is like, I guess I'm making some assumptions here, but from a music production standpoint, just making music for the sake of making music, feeling that's what you need to do to improve or to keep the fire alight, whatever.
Yep.
So I've got a couple of opinions on this, and it all comes down to objectives. And I think I've mentioned this before. What's the objective?
Mm-hmm.
If you make music because you enjoy the time in the process, then I don't know if toxic productivity ever plays into that. But if you're essentially forcing yourself to make music, or you're just feeling the urge, the need to do it, but don't feel like you're getting anywhere, then I think that's a different mindset, different consideration. That comes down to what's the objective, why are you doing it? So I think the three of us, we're all musicians, and I think we're all at different stages of our career. You make music, Luke, when you've got free time. and generally when you're really inspired. So
And warm usually.
yeah, if Luke's cold, he will not touch Ableton. You're right.
Got to be on the beach.
Yep. Yeah, and,
By the pool.
and
I
usually
make summery music. It's hard when it's freezing cold.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You're getting pelted by hail.
See, I like when it's cold because then I have a reason to stay inside for 8 hours.
You make
Yeah.
angry music.
yeah. So when you make music,
Yep.
what's your objective?
Well, see, it's changed over time. And, now it's been hard. I'll be honest, I haven't made a lot of music in the last 12 months.
Same.
A lot of my energy gets spent on clients and promoting music that I've already completed, which doesn't really leave me a lot of time factoring in life and my work, my normal day job and stuff. Like I don't really get a ton of time to be creating music for myself for the love of it. But if I am making music, it's usually 2 ways. One is freedom and fun, and it doesn't matter. And the other one is, I'm trying to make something that a label might be interested or that I can release even if the labels don't like it. And it can be a challenge when you're in that label zone or like, I'm making a chief track here. You put this unneeded pressure on yourself to be like, well, okay, this better be stomping in like 40 minutes, where that is not necessarily true. I think what I found is putting my headspace in a different area really benefits me, where if I just open up the project and I think I am just having fun, I'm having fun, whatever happens here doesn't matter. If I come out with something good, great. If I don't, then that's fine too, That makes a difference. Like last week, man, when we were just sitting in the studio and I let basically Luke, Ratatouille, how there's the rat up the head and then I was the body, right? And Luke was like, well, I like your drop. Why don't we make that the build up?
More garlic.
And
Luke's actually really, and this is great because you're sort of prefacing something that I was going to talk about.
okay.
Luke's really good at sitting in a session and having objectivity.
Yeah.
All right. So I presume people know the difference between subjectivity and objectivity, right? When Luke comes in, he'll be like, that hi-hat is too harsh. But he's not criticizing so much the hi-hat, just the way that he's perceiving the high end.
Mhm.
And that's brilliant when you've been listening to something for 8 hours and you've gone deaf to it. Luke's also very good at asking you to experiment. Even if you're like, no, I don't want to, but you do it anyway and the outcome is meeting in the middle somewhere. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I never would have done that because I don't like trying that style of music. I don't like whatever.
We actually did that with that track
100%.
last week. Chief's like, what do you think of this drop? And I'm like, it'd make a great build.
And normally I would
So
be
it
like,
became-
who the fuck are you to say that? Like, this is my art piece. I'm the guy because, I think you do have to have that gear about you a little bit and trust your instincts and stuff.
So
However, Luke, we smashed it.
ego is a massive one for productivity and toxic productivity.
Yeah.
So I've been in sessions with technicians. I call them technicians rather than musicians. And, they would be spending just so much time on a snare or a kick.
EQing shit.
Yeah. I think often people get really stuck in this isn't sounding good because I haven't sonically perfected an element.
Yep.
Where I know that when I produce, I don't really care what kick sample I use initially. I don't really care about the synth preset patch that I've used because generally I'm pulling from old projects as well. I find that if you want to boost your productivity, get into the habit of being organized and have systems. So the last project you made, pull stuff from that if it's going to be in the right BPM.
I don't do enough of that.
The reason is that you want to try and get into flow state. So I think what's happening with people that are having troubles with toxic productivity is they're not reaching flow state. When you're in flow state, you don't even notice time. You don't even realize what's going on. You're just hopefully getting that, that feeling down the back of your neck and you get those shivers and you're like, oh, dopamine's just been released. And like you're talking about for fun, that is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Really difficult to force. It takes a lot. And particularly now that I'm, in my 30s, got a son, I've got a wife, I've got responsibilities, I've got a business that I'm running. To have the mental capacity and the energy and the luxury to allow myself to have these happy accidents, it's getting harder and harder. Fortunately, though, the experience and everything that I've done up until this point means it happens faster when I've got the time.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is sometimes people have too much time and are forcing it. And I would just say, if you're not feeling it, just, this is my opinion. This is a subjective opinion. Step out. Don't force it. Would you guys agree?
I think there's, definitely a time for stepping out. And there's a time for being like, am I just like not feeling it, or am I just need to go shake myself out for a bit and come back and reset?
Do you know who would be good to talk to about this? Max Hurrell from Songbird Society. He is another producer in Adelaide and has a studio down in Bowden. And what he does with his clients is they go for like a nature hike, or they go down the beach. And he's incredibly proactive in creating what I think Luke really benefits from, being inspired from something you then take away. Because there's the psychology there where your subconscious is translating to the conscious mind something that it wants to convey. I mean, music ultimately is like this universal language that's invisible, and people on our frequency resonate with it. Like, I don't want to get too hippie and weird, but ultimately that's what it is. If you're pent up and freaking out and putting way too much pressure on yourself, and
you make really angry dubstep.
You can, but even then, sometimes you might spend 8 hours on a snare drum and still be like, I'm not getting anywhere.
Is he charging for those walks? Can we build people for nature walks now?
Hey, do you know what though? We touched on IMS a couple of weeks back, and one of the things they did this year is they have a real big wellness program there now, where you can go do yoga, you can do breath work, you can do all of this cool stuff. And one of the best things I did there was do the nature walk in the morning. You know, and everyone's been out till 6 a.m. because the clubs are going and people are out networking and seeing shows and stuff. So many people made it to this, I think it was 9 a.m. So it wasn't super early, but it was early by Ibiza standards. And it was fantastic. We all walked through, we went to the coast, we walked along the cliffs, we looked at the ocean, and there was birds chirping, and we had some headphones on with some ambient music playing as we wandered through the bush. And it was really a unique experience at one of those events.
So environment plays a massive role in, I think, how creatives translate or how you get inspired. So the whole reason for this studio is so that people can come here with that mindset of, we're making music today and I'm going to collaborate with someone. And it's different from if you're making music from home. And I'm not canning. I mean, that's what everybody starts off, right? From home. I started from home for years and years and years. I used to have vocalists come to my house, and it was just, it was much harder to get into flow state when you're in an environment that's not purpose-built.
Still, some of my best ideas come from being home too. The freedom, the comfortable. I'm in my PJs, my Ugg boots, got my coffee, got 6 hours left of the day. No one's going to be knocking on the door, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I can totally see from both sides. But in terms of collaboration.
Yeah, and like professionalism a bit as well. Different objective, maybe. Different
objective, but also different phase of the project.
Yeah.
So I think creating ideas at home where you're not perfecting, it's like we talked about perfectionism in one of the other episodes. So don't try and perfect anything when you're starting an idea, a project. Just get the ideas out and just see where it goes. And then when you're at a point where you think you would like to have a vocalist, then a studio does make sense. Or if you want to collaborate with someone and they're of a, maybe they have a bigger online following than you, or maybe they're signed to a record label or whatever, and you're like, it's probably not appropriate to invite them to my house. I mean, we've all done it. Like when I've traveled and I haven't been able to afford a studio, I'm like, hey, come to the hotel.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, you don't have the monitors and whatnot. But yeah, when you need a studio, they are great places to build community and to get out of your comfort zone.
Okay, so we touched on for toxic productivity, like forcing it. There another example of something that you'd consider being toxic?
I have one.
Yep.
It's planning versus action. So planning a release, planning how you're going to create a track. It's writing down all these ideas but not actually implementing any of them, because you're writing it down so you feel like you've been productive because you've planned something, but you're not actually being productive because you haven't actually done anything about it. And obviously you need to plan stuff, but if you're just, I need to plan this more, or I need to think about this some more, or I need to spend some more time on this and whatever, if you're not actually rolling things out, learning from it and making adjustments from what you've learned, I think that's toxic productivity.
Totally. Yeah. And then, people can almost have like a toxic productivity with focusing on an album of work without really engaging the audience and figuring out where and what is working and what should I be focusing more attention on.
Yeah.
So for instance, like what Luke and I are doing with these 36 songs, you're going to say after this podcast, but I'd be interested to get some stats live now. You're saying the second track has done much better than the first track.
Yep.
But I didn't post anything about this track. I've been too busy.
Yeah.
Like, I, again, take full responsibility, but I'm also of the mindset that I have a huge backlog to get out and I just want to get the machine cranked again. I just want to, it's like I'm lighting a fire, but I'm not ready to invite everybody to sit around it.
I was just about to say you got 34 other opportunities to post about it, so hopefully we hit it soon.
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, Luke, is that we will probably batch a few other releases together.
Yep.
And then we will really make a big song and dance about the actual album so that people, when they go to that traffic, like the traffic will be to the album, not the singles. And hopefully a few of those singles have already got a few runs on the board.
Yeah.
That's the idea moving forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, in positive productivity, you know, I made a big plan for Hibachi. I sent it to you before we went out, and I think I've pretty much ticked off most of it. I kind of finished it all up yesterday. And I was saying to Luke, it was really hard. The last video I wanted to do like basically, you know, how I made the second drop. But the day of filming, man, I just couldn't get in front of the camera. Just one of those days. So I was like, I feel crap. I'm so gassed because I just spent 4 weeks trying to push this track, and now I got to do one more video. I hadn't shaved. I looked a bit like a bit homeless and that. And I was like, I just don't want to get in front of the camera. So I just did basically a screen recording and stuff. And it turned out all right, but Instagram hates, you got to put your face on something on Instagram, otherwise it doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
But my hands are clean now for that track. So
my idea moving forward is in order to fit the consistency of, I think, all the touch points. So I've actually learned a lot from having marketing agencies do podcasts here at the studio.
Yeah.
21 times now, they reckon, someone needs to see an advert before they even really start to engage. It used to be 6.
21?
Yeah. And I could be completely off the mark here, but it was something ridiculous, like 3,000 adverts.
I would
a day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like 10 years ago, it was 6. A few years ago, I think even 2 years ago, they were like, it's 13 or something now. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's 25 now. Like I see an ad on my Instagram stories every 3 stories now.
Well, that's it. And
it's so bad.
But we've actually, we've evolved now so that effectively when we're, you know, scrolling the internet, we know to skip ads and we know to skip anything that doesn't look genuine.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is that now if you post a JPEG of a song or even with your music, I saw and I forgot to comment like because I was probably doing, you know, social media while distracted.
Yeah.
I saw the making of, but I think I couldn't listen to it.
Yep.
So that was my biggest point of friction. I was like, oh, I'll come back to that. I won't. I'll forget.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't care about you. It's because I am so distracted. The reason I'm telling you that is that is a really good piece of content. How do we get people to engage with that at the right time? Even if we try to, chronologically, if you posted something, you know, relevant to the time zone of your audience and they're sitting down and they're like, oh, this is the best time for someone to be engaged on a phone. Instagram goes, nope, we'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
I also wonder as well, what I think is really interesting is like you saw it and you thought about it, but you didn't interact with it.
Yep.
And you said, I'll go back to that.
I'll go back to it.
How many of those in that 25 experience or touch points that you have, like how much of it is going into your subconscious, right? So we flick through these things, we flick through these ads, we flick through these stories, we maybe look at it and think, I'll go back to that. Like obviously we don't have any of this data, but I'd love to know how much of that actually chips away at subconscious so that at some point you might just be walking down the street and you're like, I feel like listening to Chief Street Hibachi.
Yeah.
But you don't know why, you know, like it gets into your brain.
You're like, oh, that track that I heard, I think I'm going to finally listen to it now.
Yeah.
Totally. And
That's a great point, man.
It is a great point. And this is why podcasting or video casting, whatever the hell this is, I don't even know what this is yet because effectively it's like a TV show that has a side hustle audio, right? It's long form. So people, when they make the decision to listen or watch this, they're committed to watching it, right? It's like, okay, it's Sunday night. I'm going to stream this on the TV in bed, you know, eating my dinner. That's great. Yeah. It's not I'm got to start work in 15 minutes. Yeah, I can't engage with this. Like save it for later. So all the types of content pieces it's got to be very, very deliberate. And what I'm hoping is that people are going to get this insight into my life and into the studio and into my music in a way that's not forced. And we're talking about, you know, scrolling. One of the things that I love seeing, and I haven't done yet, and this is a very physical and psychological way to stop people scrolling, we talk about thumb stoppers, is carousels. So people have been doing like weekly dumps or monthly dumps.
Yeah.
Smart.
I did a May dump.
You did.
I think that's clever because the first
Did a few.
did a few dumps. I haven't taken a dump in so long. In fact, I've never taken a dump. Right?
Yeah.
But it's all about the psychology of what you're trying to get across. And effectively what a carousel is a long form.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the super hooky photo at the start and then you swipe through and there's like videos and there's all this sort of stuff. And some people are putting just audio straight up. I fucking hate that, by the way. When people just do the grid audio and it's the ugly little waveform.
Yeah.
I'm not listening and going to tell you drop 1 or drop 2. I don't have time.
Sometimes it works though.
You're a creator though, and we've talked about this before with Nick. Like the reason he finds things are so frustrating. I'm like, you should do this, you should do that. He's like, why? I don't understand. Like it makes no sense to me. I would never do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not a consumer.
Yeah.
Nick is like the epitome of creator.
I am the anti-consumer.
He's always making stuff. He's doing stuff. He's launch padding. He's videoing. He's painting. He's whatever. He's a creator in every facet of life.
Yep.
He's not a consumer unless he's buying a new microphone.
Oh, I need another one.
But he doesn't understand what a fan sort of.
Yeah.
Well, that's why this
experiences,
is important, right? Because I'm hoping that the community that we need to engage more of will have questions for the next episode. And the fact that we give a shit and they give a shit means that this is just a big holistic approach to us as opposed to, I need you to listen to my song.
Yeah.
It's like,
Haven't mentioned Hibachi 25 times yet.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting to see the streams go up.
I'll put
Do me a favor, people.
right now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to put a ding. There we go. But I guess ultimately the reason we release music too is to promote a show. Eventually, like we don't just do this to be behind closed doors indefinitely. We want to throw down, right? So that's in part why I'm not forcing this so much. Every time I release a song, great. I'm going to push the album in a video sense, probably, and then hopefully book some shows off it, right?
Yeah.
Come hear the album how it was planned, live.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So any more toxic traits that you can think of?
Yeah. The final one, and I'd love for Luke to chime in on this, is that I have often referred to the music industry or any creative's path like being on a old worldly sailing ship. Do you remember this one?
Like a clipper ship.
It's ringing very vague bells.
Vague bell, but years and years and years ago. So Luke and I used to help an artist called Milky. She's since rebranded to something I can't pronounce. Is it just Mickey? But it's not spelt Mickey.
Mikey.
See? Yeah. So anyway, Lise is great. And I said to Lise, like, effectively what you've got is you've got this beautiful sailing ship, but it's rudderless. And you're sitting out in the ocean. You've got all the talent. Like this ship is majestic and beautiful, and you basically want everybody to get on board. But you've got no wind in your sails. You've got no rudder. You've got no map. You've got no captain. How about I step aboard and I help sort of navigate, let's not go this way. That's going to head you into a storm. How about we go to this island, visit these people, right? The analogy was, in terms of like trying to motivate a creative, I was trying to set the narrative that in order for you to be successful, you do need a crew. And we've spoken about this heaps of times. But the idea is that you have a destination instead of talking about objectives. Like, what's your destination? I've done that destination. Here is the map. Here is the treasure map. I'll be your captain. And, sometimes you have mutiny. Sometimes you go into stormy weather. Sometimes we've had so many artists on the label that have an anchor. They don't know about it. The anchor is the family, all right? But the family is like, get a real job. Don't pursue music.
Yeah.
Music's a great hobby. Or a toxic relationship. And they didn't realize that was holding them back. They have the most majestic ships you've ever seen. And everyone wants to get on board, right? The other thing is not having wind in your sails. Now, wind is money, okay? Money makes the world go round, and that's not why we do this, but bloody hell it helps.
Yeah.
If you can pay your bills from making music, you've done really fucking well. The problem is everyone wants to get on board that ship. Everyone wants to take a piece of the pie, and then they start directing where the ship should go. Stuff goes wrong. It just happens. It's inevitable with any business. This is effectively what happens. It turns into business. So you want your crew, you want to trust them. Like you want them to sail the ship for you. Like effectively what we're saying right now is social media strategy is really hard. The experts are still getting it wrong. We're still testing. Luke is a fucking genius with this stuff. The fact that you've come in here like, yeah, I'm just testing some stuff out. Great. We're always learning, right? So I have a really, really good map of where an artist can A to B, and I do consultation on the side here at the studio, but I say to them, my map is constantly outdated. TikTok is just uncharted waters. But bloody hell, it's incredible. But I believe it's shark-infested waters, so I am tentative as to how I approach it because, yeah, I might get, here's an example. A local Adelaide artist has gone viral on a video last night about the storms in Adelaide. It's her music profile. And she was doing a little boogie dance like, you're in Adelaide, and then she's dancing on the bed and it's a boogie about the storm that hit Adelaide, and it's going super viral because I imagine it's like, oh, that's funny, share. But you look at all the music posts, crickets. And that's not a reflection of her talent. She's super talented. It's just that the type of content that we divulge and ingest on TikTok is like, funny, swipe, next. The call to action on TikTok, crap. Promoting yourself on TikTok's really hard.
It's a hot topic of discussion at, industry events as well about a TikTok moment for a person or an account versus actually building fan loyalty in a community that engages with the remainder of your posts and everything else you post. Because you can go viral on one video and get 12 million views, but people are just liking that particular content of that particular video. Doesn't mean that your next video when you're like, hey, I've got a new song coming out, or you're doing something with your song, that people are going to like that as well or share it. So.
Great analogy with the ship. Haven't heard that one before. I was a bit like, where are we going here? But nailed it.
Thanks. Well, I'm very metaphorical in how I even figure out my own shit. So when I'm one of those people that spend far too long in the showers or love long road trips in the car because my brain unpacks. And it's like, how would I explain this to someone else?
Nick's running around his ship changing light bulbs.
100% cleaning the deck.
Well, I think you ticked off a
Scrubbing
bunch
the
of
deck.
Yeah, but toxic productivity is having this
Soft.
beautiful, majestic ship and I don't know, upgrading it and doing bits here and bits there, but you're not actually sailing it or you don't even know where to sail it. Come to a studio, aka the harbour, and other ships will dock here.
Dude.
I feel like playing some old hearty music in the background. And then
A sea shanty.
A sea shanty.
Oh, yeah, that went viral on TikTok. And
Do you know what will go viral? Of all the content I post today, it's Rach and I doing time lapse of the mop vacuum in the film studio.
Because no one cares what we have to say.
Well, some people do care. And if you do care and you're feeling like we might know something, comment.
Like and share and subscribe.
Don't do any of that shit. Reach out to us and we can probably help, most likely. Or at least we're empathetic to the cause.
I tell you what, whoever sent us the question today is getting basically a whole episode on it. So
It's
that's
super
like, which is great.
it's
That's what we
super
want,
relevant.
man.
Was that a YouTube comment?
Instagram direct message. Yep.
As soon as Nick shared it to me, I was like, dude, yes,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any more, please send them through.
Yeah.
So we've covered half of it. We've gone toxic.
What do you want to talk about?
Positive.
Positive productivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are some good habits to have? And yeah.
Do you have any tips?
Well, I think, you had one, which is get out of the house. I think that's a good one. Knowing when to take breaks.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's very lucky to have quite a few hobbies. So
Oh, I'm jealous of that.
if
don't have
I
enough
need
hobbies.
to get away from the computer, I don't have any issues.
Mhm.
I've got plenty of other stuff that can probably fill my cup.
Yep.
But finding the balance between everything is hard still too. I think mindset's a huge one as well. Like, as we were saying, I don't know. I feel like I'm just putting the opposite of all the negative ones we just said. But it kind of rings true. Like changing my mindset about everything really, really helped me in just being better at making music and enjoying this all way more. Before we were all together, you guys are my great crew now.
Yeah, man.
We're all driving the ship together.
Exactly.
I gave Luke the keys today with access to all my Facebook accounts and business manager stuff because I trust everyone. But yeah, since I've been in touch with you guys, my mindset has shifted for the better. And I think that's really, really changed me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think community, whether it's online or like actual, it's important to talk about things. I think especially in our industry and just in life at the moment, not enough people are talking about roadblocks. They're probably just penting up all the frustration inside and then, it's so common, especially as a creative, because we are so emotionally driven to find ourselves in a spiral. And that could just be because you haven't eaten breakfast, or maybe you didn't drink enough water, or you had a really bad night's sleep, or you haven't been exercising, or you're going through relationship troubles or financial troubles, whatever. Fucking life. Like, it's just.
I think as well, like, sort of a little segue a little bit, I guess, into, I think this was the next topic, talking about how you've been going, talking about the podcast and for you, where you're at in your career. But before we get to that, just like giving yourself the time for you, whether that is exercising or water or whatever, because it's so easy to see what everyone else is doing online and think, oh, they're out here playing this show or they're whatever. 99% of artists, I would say, are in the same boat as each other.
Yeah.
Everyone's financially stressed. Everyone thinks they should be doing better. Everyone's comparing themselves to someone that's better than them, even though there's 1,000 people less than them in their career stage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing we've learned from talking to people offline, in the studio here and in our own experiences, is everyone is struggling the same amount, varying amounts of the same amount, but like no one is living the dream unless you're in that top 2% of global artists, right? Like unless you're Taylor Swift and even then, Lewis Capaldi's just pulled his tour because he needs to take time out to recharge. Like good on him for being able to notice that and call that. Obviously in our space, we've had people in the past who haven't done that and have ended tragically, So like that is really important. And I think one thing to take away from this is that you've got to find a balance. You've got to enjoy what you do and just take a little bit of the stress out of it and just enjoy the process like Chief was saying before.
So this all gets back to values, doesn't it? Values.
That's a great one, Luke.
Yeah, well said too, because we've glorified those that are at the absolute top of their game. And yeah, it's not fun when we're celebrating a death anniversary of someone that was just so phenomenally talented and so unhappy.
Mm.
And we don't want to demotivate anyone either. Like being at the top of your game looks different for everybody. And I guess what we see through this tiny screen is such a representation of what the brand wants you to perceive it as, and is not the actualization of what their circumstances are. Everybody was raised differently. Everyone has different values, right? So you almost need to not let that cloud your judgment. And what makes you happy, if it's playing video games with a mate on a Saturday night instead of playing at a nightclub, then do that.
That's me.
That's me too. I'm an old soul. We went out the other night, didn't we, boys?
Oh, dude, 1:30. Pack it up. We're going home. Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it any longer.
I love performing. I'm not great at being the audience.
Yeah. Unless it's like
it's a different vibe, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that was fun. I love supporting them as well.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We got to hang out all night and stuff.
Totally.
But just once, like I said to Donna, I was like, man, I wish the industry I really love didn't operate at midnight and beyond,
Yeah.
If we went to a show, it was like 8 p.m., I'd be like, fuck yeah, we're going from 8 p.m., I'm getting in the Uber at 11.
And then maybe
get the hot water bottle by 11:30 in the bed.
That's why we love festivals, because festivals are generally day. And it's a journey. You build up to the main event and then you're like, all right, it's go home time, not should we kick on?
Well, I think it's why it's why a lot of artists, as they get older as well, they might start changing up the style of their music a little bit. They might be doing the Sunday afternoon boat cruises and the park festivals and those sorts of things.
Yeah, you don't really see any post 50-year-old dubstep artists, do you? The neck.
Just slipping discs.
Can't
trying to think who's
kind
of old in the game a bit. Kill the Noise. I mean, I'm not trying to age shame anyone. I fucking realised how bad that is.
Done it again, ladies and gentlemen. He's done it again.
No, but I just know he's fucking OG. So
yeah. Well, chronological age, biological age.
Let's just fucking skip this.
Yeah. Honestly, in this game, it doesn't matter.
I've got another good, I think, a positive one is consistency. If you can stay consistent, even if you're not you don't have to be releasing tunes every 3 weeks. As long as you're getting on your phone, I know it's hard sometimes. Like I was saying before, I just the other day could not put myself on film. But if you can try and just post something once a week, once a fortnight,
Luke
just say hello to everyone.
Luke would like to.
I think that goes a long way. You know, I go through spikes of being like, oh, I'm going to post on Instagram stories all the time. But when I get tired, I won't do that. But I will still try and post something during the week just to say hello. Luke, got something on your mind?
Do you know what I noticed this week? I realized this week.
What's that?
I've released one song every 2 years since 2017.
Yeah, bang.
So I released one in 2017, one in 2019, one in 2021.
Your time.
How is that for consistency?
Yeah.
Got one, 2023, here we
This
go.
is your
One
year.
song.
Have you got it?
No, yeah, I've got plenty, but I need to pick one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, consistency is a big one. And I think I think originally people would say that it was 21 days to form a habit. That has changed. I think it's more like 60. So you want these to become habits.
I've been reading Atomic Habits. It's a book by, I can't remember the guy. Anyway, the point is, it's called Atomic Habits. And they actually didn't debunk the 21-day thing, but what they actually said is it's the amount of repetitions versus the amount of time. So if you practice a habit once a week for 21 days, you've only practiced it 3 times, versus if you practice a habit every day for 21 days, you've practiced it 21 times, and obviously twice 42. So they said it's actually the amount of repetitions of the habit that leads to the habit forming versus the amount of time from when you started doing it. Just fun fact
Interesting.
for the day.
Yeah, but this is like a gym membership, isn't it? So you need to rock up, which is the hardest part in my opinion, which is why I haven't been in 3 years. And then you need to just go through grueling pain.
I just spat everywhere.
So, it hurts and there are no results and no outcome and you just have to be consistent. And then, I don't think anyone's ready or prepared.
I just know you got to clip that. And all this lighting, I can just see them all firing off into the ocean.
I don't know if I didn't see it.
Okay, I hope not. Anyway.
It's all right. This is an audio only version.
Just put some like Star Wars laser sounds over it. Do.
But yeah,
the gym.
The gym. Consistency. The only ones that win are the ones that rock up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you've got an entire generation of people that want the gains instantly. We'd call those the steroid abusers, and then they lose it all and demotivated, and it's a vicious cycle. So anyone that's committed long term, I think the toxic productivity should basically take a back seat, because if you're going to do this for the rest of time, which is ultimately why you make music, right, is to fill your cup, do it when it seems natural, when you feel like that's your outlet, and not because you think I need to in order to achieve my goal.
Do you have any positive ones?
What's been harder for me, the mindset thing is a huge one. You've already mentioned that. So I think, just allowing myself the freedom, and that there's two thoughts there. One is parking all the responsibilities I have and just going, you know what, that's a tomorrow problem or next week problem. And the other is my ego. So my ego's an interesting one. The older I get, the less I care about it, which is liberating, honestly. Like, it's really important to have a healthy ego. And sometimes that is actually what sustains you and empowers you and makes you want to let's fucking do this.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just don't fucking care. So I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. And that is also as empowering and liberating. And so I encourage people to just stop taking themselves so fucking seriously.
I think it might be a bit of it. You said you bring age into it. I think when you're young, you do care about people and what they think. And,
natural instinct.
Yeah, exactly.
Survival of the strongest, the fittest. That is definitely, and there's a huge amount of competition in this game that nobody really wants to talk about. And that's, as you get older and more experienced, you realize it doesn't actually exist. It's all in your own head.
I've totally gone through that too, because I think I've mentioned it to maybe both of you before. So I started my Instagram page when I'm, 5, 8 years ago, just out of high school.
Yep.
It's my real name. And the first 300 people I add, or 200 are my friends, people I went to school with, family friends, family. And then it transitions to, I'm going to be a DJ and a producer. And then everyone's like, ha, 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 basically. Like, look at this guy who thinks he's going to do whatever. And then you start putting stuff up and it's okay. And then you want to post more. But if you're like me and you look back and you're looking into yourself, you're like, I don't want to get onto the phone, pretend I'm someone to post to my 200 old high school friends from 6 years ago. I think once you park all that away and you realize that there is a whole audience out there that don't know you as the guy who went to school with. Like it's a bit more freeing.
It's funny you say that because I don't think I've given you access to my Instagram. No. And the reason for that is I use it as my personal Instagram. So I'm messaging mates and friends as M4 Sonic because it's my only account.
Yeah, me too.
And I did have a Nick account, but I neglected it because that was purely out of ego. And I found that even more crippling than an artist account. I'm like, what is the perception that I want people from high school to think of me? No, don't care. I do not care. Honestly, that is not me. But back then I was like, I need to be seen to be successful in doing this.
Exactly.
And how many followers will I have? No, I don't care. As an artist, I'm still messaging people from like that live overseas. Like, hey, have you been? What's going on? It's my personal account. But that's an interesting, I hadn't thought of that. Posting as Chief Street
is different to posting as Alex. You know what I've also found though? I think that the old high school friends and that are probably way more supportive about it all than you think.
Yeah.
Like I get people, I do get people that I have not spoken to in 7, 8, 9, 10 years, liking posts, commenting.
Yep.
You know, I might see them out every now and then. We're lucky the city's small, so you might bump into people. But like they're enjoying what I do and they're not judging me by it. They probably, if they don't care, they've probably unfriended me or whatever anyway.
Totally. And we're looking at the metrics of my social presence and it's on the decline still. So every time I post to YouTube, I'm losing followers. That is okay. I'm actually okay with that because because
that's fine. I'm fine.
I don't need that metric to substantiate who I am as a person or what I've done for the Launchpad community. That was a point in time and we've moved past that now and who I am as Nick. If you really genuinely want to support and you've still stayed as a subscriber, thank you so much. I hope I can give 10 times what I could back in 2013, that era of Launchpad. I have so much that I can do beyond the Launchpad and I want those people that are genuinely interested to stick around, but I am happy. I am at peace with that being a much, much smaller percentage of people because what I'm trying to build now is my forever plan. Everything to this date was learning. It was all research and development. I was not ready. I mean, even just coming to terms with that.
Even though like, you are losing subscribers and stuff on YouTube, the people that have been commenting on the videos and the things that they've been saying and, even looking at the data and the analytics, it's only like 6% of your subscribers are actually the viewers. Like most of the viewers aren't even subscribers of your channel, which is really interesting. And I'd love to know actually how many people commenting
Did I tell
are
you,
also not subscribers.
There's a video that I'm going to try and find on TikTok from another Launchpadder and he did a video where it showed over time the most viral or the most followed Launchpadders. And I didn't realize, but I was up there. Like I was number one for a long time. And again, it wasn't a competition in my mind. I just was like, cool, this is fun, whatever. And this is before Cascoby. This was before a few others. Like it was myself and another guy, So Neverable. Lovely, lovely, lovely bloke who makes wicked light. He invented the light show. So we were the top two. And then there was Riot and there was a few others. And then it was Sean Wasabi and then whatever. My channel got to 640,000 subscribers and then it just stopped. And one other account stopped, but the others were still like fluctuating. They were still posting. I wasn't. This is what interests me about that number, 640,000, which is now in decline. I think we're down to 618. Why I'm interested is that my videos were still, or should have effectively been in circulation. I was still relevant as a Launchpadder. Just because I wasn't fueling it with content, why did it all of a sudden it just get locked? It was almost like I was being punished. And for about 4 years, it did nothing. It didn't grow. It didn't lose anything. And then all of a sudden, the massive cull came as soon as I re-engaged. So I'm a little bit cynical. I'm a little
super interesting.
And this is my ego speaking, but I'm a little bit hurt as an artist.
Oh, of course, man. You earned that.
It's a two-way thing. And it's the same with the mechanics of meta. What I have a problem with, and there's two opinions to this, my problem is that I built Facebook as well as Facebook building me. It was a two-way street. You have all my data. I am the one creating the content. I am the one engaging a community. I'm the one giving merit and credit and resources effectively to your platform for people to engage with it so that you can make money. Why then did you make us like effectively have to pay for the same reach, which I'll never have again? We had a massive marketing agency pay for an advert for a campaign that I was doing for Pringles, right? I can talk about this openly. It's not online anymore, but I made an advert for Pringles. And the marketing agency wanted to make sure that video was played worldwide. So they put some ad spend behind it. I'm never going to match that ad spend. I don't know what it was, but I will never match it. Because of that, I will never reach that threshold where I can break through to get that same engagement. Now, I'm not a marketing expert. I could be talking bullshit, but that's my understanding of how the ad spend works. Once you've set the bar here, very, very fucking hard to break through it again unless you're a multi-millionaire. And because I haven't played the game, I get like 80 people might see a post now with an audience over 500,000. Same on YouTube. You're saying that 98% now of the viewers are coming that are not subscribers.
Randomly.
That's great in one respect because I want exposure to new audiences, but a new audience of 10 people?
You'd want both.
Well, I just don't understand why we're getting punished.
I think as well, it's not necessarily punishment. I think like if you look at any collection of over 500,000 people, there is probably a percentage of those people who are inactive accounts, spam accounts, passed away, whatever, closed down their account. Like, I don't think you can look at the subscribers that are leaving your account and be like, this is 1,000 people who have clicked unsubscribe and left because they don't like my podcast. I think
because they haven't even seen it.
Yeah. Exactly. So like, why are they unsubscribing? I think there's a fair amount when you've got that many subscribers of people who are just...
You don't really care about them anyway, right?
Look, it's the same as your colleagues from school. You grow and you go in different directions. So what was relevant to you at the time 10 years ago is no longer relevant. And I'm sure that's what's happened with Facebook. People would have loved the video that I was making that was all Launchpad, this is whatever. And then years and years later that I might pop back up. And they're like, Masonic?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Unfollow. I do it all the time. I am guilty of, this is a very interesting metric too, I am guilty of on people's birthdays, if I have not spoken to them within a year, if they don't know what's happened in my life, if they haven't even checked in to be like, hey, how's your son? See ya.
Give him a flick.
Rachel.
Happy birthday, mate.
I don't know, you guys probably wouldn't know this, but it was Rachel's birthday 2 days ago. And she took her birth date off Facebook. And she was like, I had 2 people wish me happy birthday today. And it's no one's fault. We have become complacent in having the reminder of, hey, it's someone's birthday. And they're like, oh, happy birthday, right? We've lost touch with like, is it what's important to us? Like we have a family calendar now, which is completely separate to Meta of people's birthdays that we care about. And we make the effort to actually call them or message them, not like a Facebook Messenger thing. Like, hey, it's your birthday. We're thinking of you. Oh, cool, thanks. Whereas when you get the wall thing and then you're like, oh, I'm obligated to go and like it and write back something like, oh, hey, thanks for wishing me birthday. It was great when you messaged me last year at the same time, the same message. Like, you see the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I was shit bloke here. I actually even knew it was Rachel's birthday. And I even said to Hannah, oh, it's Rachel's birthday today.
I did the same with Hannah's birthday. No.
And then I saw her today and I was like, hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had no idea.
How would you?
I wouldn't. I have a bit more of a green card.
I have no excuse.
That's fine. Well, but I'm terrible.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
But I'm terrible with birthdays. Like I'm really bad.
She told me about it last week a bit though. So yeah. I don't know if I remember if we spoke about the particular day, but I knew it was coming up.
Mate, we wrote it down. We said what present we wanted.
Must have got lost in the mail.
No, but to my point, because it's not a notification that Facebook, like that's pretty well what I use Meta for now is birthdays and ads.
We're going to get home tonight and check our Facebook no longer connected to ad friend. Oh no.
Actually,
Nick's unfriended us.
I found that really interesting too, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening and watching too that have had this happen. Have you ever gone to someone's Instagram and it says like follow back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you're like,
ooh,
sorry.
Yeah.
And then you do that. Or you thought they followed you, and then you realize when you go to their account, you're like, hang on, you just followed me, and now I've gone to your account. You no longer follow me.
I did that once, trying to get some more Instagram followers. Some bloke called me out on it too, and I was like, I just swipe away from that message. He's like, we know what you're doing. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, we won't name names, but we know someone that actually wrote code to create an account which would, very, very clever. It would look at hashtags and accounts that followed certain accounts. So it's like, okay, for instance, you wanted to play at a venue and you wanted all the people at that venue to follow you. It would go to that venue's page and it would follow all of the followers, and then it would wait whatever he typed in, like a day or two. If they hadn't followed back, unfollow them. So it was constantly in, out, in, out. But I think this person's account got flagged, or they may have lost, or whatever.
It definitely got shadow banned or whatever.
Yeah, if you're sending that many friend requests out.
Post.
Yeah, totally. If a computer's like doing it online, you got to kind of trick the system here and be like, well, it's only when you're awake. Yeah. But yeah, I think all those bots now have had their day.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Oh,
I still get heaps following me.
Oh, yeah, Snapchat too. I get all these random
free Bitcoin.
profiles.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. If you're tagged, you've won a prize.
Yep. Check out this hot, saucy video. That's mine on Snapchat.
I'm not on Snapchat.
How many hot saucy videos have you got on Snapchat, Chief?
Nah, none. Just spam accounts.
You're so young. You're on Snapchat. That's where all the...
I know. I feel old though because I was on Snap as it was coming out, but now it's like obviously Snap and TikTok are bigger than Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
By far. I hear Snap pays really well as well, actually.
I've heard that as well, actually.
So that's why like Snap Stories.
What do you mean it pays?
Well, if you're David Dobrik and you get millions of people viewing your snaps, they just put the ads in the middle. And so if you just post 100 pictures, that's a lot of money. While people flick, like bang, 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 ad, bang, 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 ad. And you're just like heaps of cash. So that's why if you ever go to Snapchat stories and you click a story and there's literally like half an hour's worth of footage, content, they're getting paid really well for it.
Topic for another day, but I've also heard about people with large followings on Instagram being offered money from Meta to post again if they haven't posted in a long time to re-engage their audience. Like, we'll give you $20 if you post.
$20?
I just
For $1 million?
Oh, can I just chime in here?
Random amount.
If
They're undercutting them.
you guys didn't pay Meta for your verification badge, did you?
Hell no.
No.
This is really important, and you can hate me for this, but if you have purchased, and I think it's like 30 USD, I can't remember, I looked into it, a month to get your little blue tick. If you are a charity or if you have had many people try and impersonate you, I think it's a fantastic thing to have, right? Because it's government ID checked. Fantastic. You've got the blue verification. And I think you should almost say to your audience, like, hey, I've just done this because I've got a mate who raises money for cancer and some lowlife has made another account, has followed 5,000, has got 5,000 followers, looks legit. The Instagram profile looks identical and they're using it to scam.
Terrible.
I don't know what that person's life story is, but I'm sure it's not a good one. I understand why you need a verification. If you're an aspiring musician, I would encourage you not to pay Meta, even though you do get better metrics. Like you will get higher relevance and you will reach broader audiences, all that, because, you know, they're rewarding you for effectively paying them. And not to shit can a service that has been provided to us for free, but what it's going to do is it's going to derail you in essentially having cred, like authentic cred. Authentic cred comes from your songs influencing and motivating, inspiring the world, not a blue tick. And your authentic cred will not help you with any type of brand alliance or getting a crew that's with you for the right reasons. Like, there are a lot of artists that I know I could call right now, and I would say this to their face. Like, if you want to call me and you want me to talk to your face, I will tell you, your blue tick makes you look like a try-hard. I'd drop this mic if it wasn't on a boom. And that, unfortunately, the music industry will see right through that shit.
Quite funny. We had a friend who got legitimately verified.
I'm worried that when I do get a verification,
about 2 weeks before this payment thing came out,
loser.
and she was like, "Everyone thinks I've paid for it, but I promise I didn't."
yeah. And I think our friend Miles had a good point, and I don't know. I wonder if it will happen that there will be another tier. So the ones that are genuinely verified will be like a gold or a platinum, and then you just have all these blues.
You know what I'll say though?
Damn blue people.
Meta is very insistent that I should get one.
Oh, same.
I get random like little red notification thing. You've got a notification, and the only notification is get Meta verified.
Actually, there's something wrong. My account's got something wrong with it that I've breached something advertising wise, and I can't remember the last time I ran an advert. So I'm probably never
Someone's running an advert.
I'm also scared that you do it, and then what happens when you don't? When you stop paying for it, they just devalue
Right.
you completely, probably.
Well, yeah, totally. You know, this is the thing that we talk about with like boosting posts.
Yeah.
You would agree with
I
this when you look,
stopped
don't
that.
boost posts.
I've boosted posts before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for testing purposes.
But for testing.
It works. Like you get better numbers.
But some people are just burning cash.
Yeah.
Don't-
That's what I found.
I
is that
suggested-
the number was huge, but I got no extra. I was getting, so me and Cam did Facebook ads for a while and we ran them all around, and I'd get the page follows, but they would never like a post ever. They were just empty numbers, empty stats, and it just meant nothing. I was like, why are we spending this money to look at something that kind of like seems like it's working, but the genuine part of it was completely not there.
And you know, even with your latest release, I did a boosted post on the Global League page. So it's on the label page for Chief's new single.
Apache.
I don't know if you've heard about it. But that we boosted a reel, and that reel I think got 6,000 plays.
Yeah, right.
And I think of that 6,000 plays, there was about 300 clicks to the smart link. And of that smart link, I would say maybe 2 or 3 people streamed the song.
A double.
So like, you know, you put some spend behind something. Yeah, it's vanity metrics because people look at the reels and like, oh, 6,000, you know, that's not bad. But that's basically what I can see boosting is most useful for currently is like vanity metrics to make your account look more active than it actually
And those
is.
days, I think, of people being able to tell right from wrong, legit, not legit.
Yeah, if you've got 6,000 plays and 3 likes or like 2 comments, it's a bit of a sign, isn't it?
Yep. So, in closing, toxic productivity. Fuck, that's hard to say when you've run out of caffeine. It's a thing, and it can be avoided by simply re-evaluating your values and understanding what's the objective. If you're just making music because you feel like you've got this driving force that's pushing you, and if you don't do it, you're going to become less talented or you're going to miss the opportunity, whatever, relax. You're good. Make music when you want to get into flow state with the right people at the right time, and enjoy the process, and don't worry too much about the outcome. That's just my subjective opinion. Do you guys have anything in closing?
Stream Hibachi. See you next week.
Yeah. Chiefs out. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions for next week, Luke won't be with us because you're going to be in New York. Chief Street will definitely help out and also plug his next song. And if you want to support us, follow along. What's your handle on Instagram, Luke?
Luke K. Jamison.
Luke K. Jamison, Chief Street, M4 Sonic, or if you want to follow the studio, it's matrix.adelaide. All right, till next time. See you then.